Welcome to Cornwall Science Sessions.
Well, a wonderful morning to you, very good people of Cornwall. Delighted that you could join us again. How very kind of you. I hope I'm not going to disappoint you today, but I really don't think we're going to, okay? Because we've got some ultra special interviews for you today, okay? Now, I really have got something special for you, because this is the Great Cornish Food and Drink Special. Now, Sam, how are you feeling so far? Are you excited for this?
I'm excited. I have no idea what's coming up. It's always a surprise.
You're going to absolutely love these. I can absolutely guarantee it, Sam. So I'm very glad you're here in the studio today with us, because you're going to love this. Right, okay, all I'm going to tell you, right, I'm not going to reveal everything at the beginning. You know, I usually kind of run through a little bit about what we're going to do. No, that's not happening today, because, you know, that would ruin some of the excitement. All I'm going to tell you is we've got a serious celebrity lineup today.
Woo!
Yes, serious celebs are going to be joining us today. Serious celebs. That's right. That's how serious we're talking today. Goats are going mental already out in the fields. You can just about hear them. If you listen really carefully, do your window down if you're driving. Well, okay, concentrate on your driving mainly. But yeah, if you got a chance, do your window down. Just listen. Just hang on. Just listen. Cheer that. It's a goat.
That's excited goats.
Yeah, it's very excited goats.
So we've already started well, Ben. So this show, we've got a lot to get through. So Ben's intention is to be slick as anything today.
Yeah, I mean, I was only telling Sam here moments ago that we needed to get on with this because there's a lot of material. So, Sam, thank you, keeping me on track today, please. Any more silliness, please do,
Step in.
Step in, please. Right, okay. All I'm going to tell you now, then, is what we're going to start with. I'm going to tell you this, okay? So today I've got actually three very, very famous foodies, basically. I'm not going to tell you too much, because if I tell you exactly, you know, what their position and things is, then it's going to be obvious, okay? You know, I'm trying to be careful not to give away too much in this intro. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dive straight in there. I'm going to drop the first interview on you.
Okay. And
do stay tuned, because, as I said before, we've got a serious celebrity lineup today, okay? So please do not go anywhere. Right, I'm going to start with this section, okay, today. Now, because I know what you're thinking, you know, us being in Cornwall, you know, sometimes talking to our friends in Devon. Furious, deep-rooted debate about how to make the perfect cream tea.
Yep. There's no debate.
Obviously, there's
a group of people who know how to make cream tea and a group that don't.
Yes, precisely. Now, I like your thinking, Sam. You need no convincing then, do you? Which is good. As I'm sure, you know, many of us listening to, hopefully all of us listening to, also won't need any convincing. But anyway, here it is, okay? Now, this is an interview with actually, you must have come across before many times, Rodda's Cornish Clotted cream.
Yep.
So this is actually with the MD of Rodda's, Nicholas Rodda himself. So there is literally no better man, okay, to listen to about the perfect cream tea. So he's going to lay this debate to rest once and for all. And he's also going to be talking to us as well a little bit about what makes us typically British in our food choices. We're going to hear a bit about some stats from Cornwall, okay? So this is the perfect way to start, I think. And now joining Nick, not just Nick, you know, you must be impressed already, but no, it gets even more impressive. We've got famous Pâtisserie chef Will Torrent as well. Okay.
Nice.
Now this is going to be great. Okay, so you know this section, not only the MD of Rodda's, but actually also a famous Pâtisserie chef, Will Torrent. So there really is going to be no denying that these guys know how to make a cream tea. Okay. Now, at this stage, I'm also going to say some of you might be thinking, "But Ben, this is a science show. Where's my hardcore science?" I mean, probably no one is thinking that, but if
no one cares,
if you did happen to think that, then please don't worry, okay? Because towards the end of the show, I do have an interview with our very own Dave Hoskin. Now, if you haven't heard Dave before on a show, then shame on you. But I will. Don't worry. We'll reintroduce him just in case you haven't. But he is a top professor, okay, world-leading academic. So I'm pleased to have him solo on the show this week. So he's not in a debate. He's just solo, okay. And I'll tell you how that's, because it slots in extremely nicely today. And I'll tell you why a bit later. But for now, I'm going to leave you with Nicholas Rodda and Will Torrent. Now, I really hope you enjoy this section. Get any comments to me. Find us on Facebook. Chuck us a message. You know, join the debate. Come on. Although, as Sam correctly said, there really is no debate. And there certainly shouldn't be any debate left after this anyway. Right, enjoy. Nick Rodda and Will Torrent.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Pleasure.
Very excited to have you both, actually. Very excited to have you both. Could I first ask you to just introduce yourselves very briefly to our listeners?
Yeah, I'm Nicholas Rodda, the Managing Director of Rodda's.
Fantastic,
and I'm
welcome.
Will Torrent, pastry chef and food writer.
Lovely, thanks, Will. Excellent. Well, thank you, chaps. Very entertaining survey, actually, which has just come out from Rodda's, actually, which I found this great. So it's all about food choices and things relating to food, which make us typically British, isn't it? I love this kind of thing. So maybe first, could we start by just talking about, okay, so if thinking about what makes us typically British, what are kind of some of the the top food traditions and habits which are kind of being associated with being British?
Well, thankfully, fish and chips are still bang on top dog in
That's
our
good.
nation's top food. Closely followed by a good old Sunday lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strawberries and cream. Of course, we're in that kind of summer. We've just had Wimbledon. We're still in that kind of lovely strawberries and a bit of cold cream.
That's good. So panic over, really. Then, so I mean, I'm still feeling like I'm British, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the cream teas just for a second, because this is something actually which I personally have heard debates about this before. It's a typically British debate, and that is how to actually correctly make. Well, the Cornish way of making a cream tea. Can we put this to rest? What is the correct way of making a cream tea?
The best way to make a cream tea, the Cornish way, is you have a freshly baked scone. You split the scone in half. You don't cut it. You just break it gently and just let the warmth and the aroma and the smell come out. You then get some lovely strawberry jam. Dollop a bit of strawberry jam on it. You just see it just ooze and just sit beautifully on top of the scone. And then you take a big spoonful of Cornish clotted cream, the golden crust, just as you break through the crust, and spoon it on top. So the cream has to go on top. And then you just sit back and you just savour your creation in front of you, full of anticipation and expectation of what's going to hit your mouth. And you just take that first bite.
That's it.
You're heaven.
That's it. So so we're talking. It is most definitely cream second, isn't it? It's jam on first, cream second. Because this is the thing.
Definitely got to be jam on first. Yeah, we actually did some research, and when you're actually eating and enjoying the cream tea, just as you bite into that lovely cool cream, those lovely rich dairy notes hit the roof of your mouth, and it sort of just coat your mouth ever so gently. So when the strawberry jam just comes in, you get a lovely slow release of that sugary in there, and then it all just mingles together, and so that's the best way to eat it. So even though the Cornish love to put the cream on top, we think we make the best cream in the world. We want to show it off. We put it on top of our scone, but there's the whole reason behind it. It's just the right way to eat it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm in agreement with you, I must say. This is making me quite hungry already. Actually, I haven't actually had breakfast yet. I don't know about you chaps, but I'm feeling a bit hungry now. But actually, that would be fine. Yeah, that would be the perfect breakfast for me. And this actually came relating to the cream teas. Then let's continue to chat about these for a second, because actually, according to the survey, one of the worst offences, in fact, I think it might be the worst offence relating to this, was actually using the wrong sort of cream. So if you use whipped cream, for example, completely wrong, isn't it?
Dreadful. It can never be whipped cream, and it can never, ever, and I feel it on a bit of a crusade today, it can never be spray cream out of an air canister. It's got to be clotted cream. You've got to have that crust so that you can crown your puds and your scones with all that lovely Cornish clotted cream.
Yes.
I feel like I'm rising up. Like I feel like I'm like, come on, UK, let's do this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm still in agreement with you. Actually, definitely still in agreement. I can't really imagine putting an inferior cream on. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Well, the whole part about coming together with your friends and your family, it's a real special occasion. You're sharing that moment. It's a beautiful time. You're going to sit down. You're going to share some great food together and create some lovely memories together. So it only sort of just goes without saying that you want to make sure that you can have the best ingredients you can, so if you can, make those scones yourself to your granny's recipe, beautiful, if you can get some local strawberry jam, and then, the whole point about a cream tea is the cream, so you've got to use the best cream there is, and the best cream for a cream tea has to be clotted cream.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, because... Yes, I mean, I know already that the listeners will be in full agreement with this, but if they're not and they need to be convinced, where can we send them to find out more about this cream tea etiquette?
Well, if you want to know more about the cream tea and the do's and the don'ts of that, you can go to the Rodda's website, where we've got a whole page there on the etiquette of the cream tea.
Fantastic. It's worth doing that, I think. Well, I must say, actually, one thing which I find quite entertaining is talking about being traditionally British and things like that relating to food. I recently went on holiday to France, actually, and in one of their supermarkets, which are quite cool, actually. I like the supermarkets in France. But anyway, they had this aisle specifically for England, basically, and I found that extremely funny, because in that, I think the only products they actually had in there was they had pancakes, golden syrup, they had chili oil, so apparently we like chilies, which which I kind of agree with, chili sauce and things like that. But there it is. I mean, I think they're missing a point. I mean, I didn't see any cream teas there, so I wasn't very happy about that.
They're missing out. That's the thing. The French are probably the grandfathers of cuisine, but I think we're the rising stars, and I think we're making our mark on the food world quite well. Absolutely,
yeah. Well, I think it's worth celebrating the things which do actually make us British. And I think this is one of the top things, as you were saying before. It's one of the nation's still the favourite food, I believe, is fish and chips. But cream teas are up there, and this is kind of a tradition, as you say, get together, have a cream tea. And also, I think curries are still fairly up there, aren't they?
They certainly are as well. I do. What would be your favourite curry to have on a Friday night?
Well, I'm actually quite a fan of spice, so I'd probably go for something like a vindaloo. But I don't know if I'm unusual there.
Nick, what about you?
I'll probably go for a madras, actually.
Yeah?
So, so I'm not loaded up on the spice, but I do like flavours, but I quite like some of the Thai curries as well, because they've got a different flavour note to them as well, so they're not sometimes quite so spicy, but there's lots of complex flavours in them. Yeah, so I like a nice, diverse. And I just love trying something new, bring on and try something new all the time.
How about using clotted cream instead of coconut milk?
Oh,
oh, here we go.
Well, hello.
It's great.
Maybe some of your listeners could give it a go and then let us know how it is.
Yeah, you know what? I'm intrigued, actually. I'm going to try that as well. I think we should definitely give that a try. Well, gents, it's been great chatting to you both today. Thanks very much for appearing on the show. I've just realised one very important question to ask you both. What for beverages would accompany a cream tea, do you think? What's the perfect drink to have with one?
Well, it's got to be tea. It's got to be a leaf tea. It's got to be brewed properly. Mm-hmm. I'm an Earl Grey fan with cream tea with a little slice of lemon or orange. Never milk in my Earl Grey. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I'd either go for an Earl Grey or maybe Darjeeling, which is quite light. And so but no milk in there, because I think you get in the dairy from the cream and everything. So you just get that lovely cut through with the black tea.
Sounds good to me. And obviously the other thing to include is probably in the evening, get yourself a curry made with the clotted cream, as we've just said. Try that in the evening as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, finish your day off.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'll let you go. Thank you for sharing this today.
Thank you, Ben.
Cheers. Bye then. Bye now.
Bye.
Okay, please, people, you've really got to try that clotted cream and curry. And you've got to try it and you've got to let us know how it went, okay? Sam, you came up with a great hashtag during that.
Well, I've just done my research. I didn't come up with this.
Crown
your puds.
Crown your puds. Hashtag crown your puds.
Crown your puds. If you do that on the... Oh, God, I've almost fallen over. If you do that on the Instagram, then you might win something from Rodda's if you've done a good pud.
There we go.
I don't understand what I've just said, but I think it's some internet stuff.
Well... If I were you, then I would listen back to this episode on Catch Up on YouTube or on our Facebook page. Make sure that you've got the total lowdown on crafting the awesome, the perfect cream tea. Take some snaps, Instagram them. Hashtag crown your puds. Is that the correct hashtag?
Hashtag crown your puds.
Yeah, there we go. Hashtag crown your puds. Perfect stuff. So that was Nicholas Rodda, the MD of Rodda's, and also Will Torrent, famous patisserie chef. So thank you very much to both of those gentlemen. The first two special guests in our food and drink special, but by no means the last special guests, because now, the moment we've all been waiting for, actually, celebrity time. Okay. I mean, we already had two celebrities, obviously. Okay, but another celebrity, I should say. Okay, another celebrity this time. Jack Stein actually is going to be talking to us today. Jack, restaurant director for Rick Stein Restaurants. I'm sure we're all familiar with Rick Stein Restaurants. Jack actually, he's actually come out with a brand new TV show. So he's going to be talking to us a little bit about this. It's been on this week, so actually, if you've only just caught up with this, we're halfway through it now. There's 2 episodes left, so I'll let Jack talk a little bit about this. It's a really awesome TV show, showcasing food and drink, actually, in Western Australia, which is pretty cool. And we're going to be drawing parallels between that and Cornwall as well. And of course, the Stein brand is very well known down here in Cornwall. We will be talking about Cornish food and drink as well. So this is a really, really cool interview. Do definitely stay tuned for this one. And yes, if you haven't heard about this TV show before, do make sure you go and catch the final 2 episodes now. Hopefully you caught some of our stuff on Facebook about this earlier in the week, and also you might have heard this interview already, because this may well have been played on some of your previous Source FM shows earlier in the week. So if you managed to catch us already, great, well done. But if you haven't, don't worry. Here it is. This is Jack Stein, ladies and gents. Great pleasure to have him here.
Hi, I'm Jack Stein. I'm the chef director for Rick Stein Restaurants.
Fantastic. Welcome, Jack. Welcome. Well, excited about the new show, must say. I've checked out the trailer. Looks amazing. Looks like a really fun road trip, actually, to me, in Western Australia.
We had a wonderful old car, classic car to drive around in. It was brilliant, yeah. So, what a wonderful part of the world to film my first TV series. I feel very, very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been myself, but I've been looking at images on it online and on the tourism board, and wow, it looks absolutely incredible. So maybe you could chat a little bit about it and the kind of inspiration behind it as well, maybe. Yeah,
it came out of the very famous Gourmet Escapes, which is the big chef festival that happens in Margaret River. It came off the back of that, actually, and they just wanted to do some filming around the area, just to kind of showcase not just the Margaret River area, which is quite well known for its wine, but also the other parts of that sort of southwest corner of Western Australia. I think they sort of looked at me and thought, well, he lives in the southwest of England, and they're well known for their food and kind of, food tourism, and it sort of, the fit was perfect.
I think I might have heard you as well talking before about kind of coming across this amazing lifestyle of some chefs who actually spent winter out in Australia, mixing surfing with fishing and cooking and things. It just sounds incredible. It's like exactly the kind of scene that you want, I think.
Well, exactly, yeah. That's we obviously, back in the day in Cornwall, when Cornwall wasn't a sort of year-round destination like it is now, we would have chefs that would come for the summer in Cornwall, and then they'd go, to Australia for the summer there, and have this kind of endless summer, which is the sort of, that's the aim for any surfer or beach lover. I think it's a wonderful way to spend your life.
Absolutely, and I think as well, Jack, one of the main focuses of your series, I believe, and indeed of your restaurants in general, is this real love for local food. Which actually, coming from a science background myself, we love that as well, because of course local food, I can imagine that's actually very good for the environment as well, not only being highly delicious and probably multiple other reasons, but local food is one of your passions, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's being born out of my parents' love of food, and obviously living in Cornwall, and Dad having to find his own suppliers, because if your restaurant in London in the 80s, you had lots of people coming in with food, but in Cornwall we had to connect with the fishermen and the farmers, and because it was just not available, because there wasn't now there's lots of restaurants in Cornwall, but we were pioneers in a way, and we had to make those connections. But actually, once you start connecting with your local food producers, you actually find, in the same way as when you go travelling with food and you go and eat in a local street food market in Thailand, when you connect with people who are actually producing it and are passionate about it, you get this kind of, it's much more enlivening, and kind of, you feel much better. But also, like you say, the environmental impact is so much lower, and it's sort of, and food tourism's great, and I think that's, it's so egalitarian, it spreads money around, it does, it comes to an area like Cornwall or the southwest of England or the southwest of Australia, like in this series, and, you eat at a local restaurant, you stay in a local hotel, you visit the local farmers market, you really, you invest a lot of your money, your tourism money gets reinvested very, very well in the economy, which I think is another added benefit.
Yeah, and I think it seems to be, especially judging from this very recent survey from the Tourism Western Australia Board, they actually, and I think this is something which is becoming apparent in other areas as well, but it seems that people are actually starting to really appreciate local food and even, look for local food in their holidays as well.
Yeah, I think that's, we're sort of coming, I think Rick and Keith Floyd and Jamie Oliver, people like that have been sort of championing this idea of food and travel as being so important, and I think we're kind of, that sort of old adage of the sort of the Peter Kay line of, going to English people going to, the Red Lion or whatever and having a full English, as being their kind of food experience on the holiday is changing. I think people now want to say, I want to go to, somewhere in the Mediterranean and have fresh fish, or I want to go to Southeast Asia and have some, some street food, or I want to go to Japan and have, sushi or whatever it might be. And people are actually using that too. And, this research that's just come out showing that it's very important to people. And I think, Dad would say that that's what's inspired him to make his food television over his career, and it's what's inspiring me and has inspired me to make this series in Western Australia, because it is just that, it's like, go to Western Australia, go to this region, and you'll find these people at the farmers market in Margaret River, that all the producers that I talk to will be there. And, you get to go and, the great thing about the Australians is they don't mind you turning up, and they'll have a beer with you and say, this is our farm and this is our fishery, this is, and that's the great thing. So, I think it's the best piece of research. I'm a scientist, I did a psychology degree, and some of the research I used to read was a bit boring. I've been reading this research for the last couple of days, and it's fascinating and really enlivening, and I'm really proud to be sort of shouting about it tonight on UK TV Food.
Psychologist turned chef sounds pretty good, actually, because I guess it's all about the sensory experience.
Yeah, it is exactly the sensory side of things that obviously Heston has explored very well, and the Fat Duck and other restaurants have too, and for me also the sort of social side of it, the kind of customer relations and, the way that you interact with people and how your staff, how you kind of keep your staff learning and developing and, keep them, within your business and keep them interested. And, also with, your suppliers, that you have a social sort of psychological relationship with your suppliers, because you understand fishermen put their lives on the line to bring food to the table, and the farmers work so hard, and you have to appreciate all this in the kind of the context of humanity, I suppose, or if it's not going a bit too far at this time of the day.
No, that sounds good, because as I was saying before as well, even from a purely scientific view, if we worried about conservation, local food's great there as well.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just, your carbon footprint goes along with meeting people in your local area who are producing food. And I think that's, it's a win-win really, because, you get to meet the people that produce your food, and you get an experience of where your food comes from. And even, chefs have been doing this for many years, but now the home cook and the home consumer, I think it's very important for them to go and visit the same fisheries and farmers and things like that, because it's important to know where your food comes from, and it's like I say, it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. Now, coming back to the kind of a Western Australia area, which you're going to be showcasing a little bit in your TV show, it seems that this is actually a particularly amazing area as well. Just not just for, if you're looking for local food, and as you say, having that really nice feeling of enjoying the local food, meeting the local people and all this, but actually the area itself was remarkable, isn't it? Because the Margaret River area, that's where it's going to be based, isn't it? It looks remarkable.
Yeah, the Margaret River is sort of the hub of that sort of southwest area, but all the way down to Albany and all the way sort of into Pemberton and these massive forests, and the whole place is just naturally one of the most beautiful places in the world. And it's just, the climate's perfect for growing, a lot of ingredients that we would recognise, in Europe, a lot of European, so figs and cherries and wonderful fruits and obviously wine and things like that. But then you've also got the native ingredients which the traditional owners of the land have brought to the table, things like finger limes and, these kind of weird sort of bush bush berries and things like this. And obviously the wonderful seafood like abalones and things like that, which are highly prized and very expensive.
Fantastic. Not only that as well, judging from the pictures that I'm looking at here, the beaches, wow, they just look absolutely incredible as well. There's a lot of wildlife to see as well, isn't there? So it sounds like Well, I'm pretty sure I want to go, basically.
Exactly. Well, yeah, as a surfer, it's one of the places that, every surfer worth his salt or her salt has to try and tame at some point, and the surf there is very wild compared to England, that's for sure. But
yeah. Awesome stuff. Well, I tell you what else I've noticed recently, and I'm not sure if this is. I think it kind of goes along hand with this, particularly from the findings from this survey, and the fact that it looks like people are really getting interested in local food now, and particularly in relation to that survey when they're going on holiday. If they're visiting Western Australia, a lot of people are saying that local food is actually really important. Actually, interestingly, it looks like they're saying it's more important than Wi-Fi and distance to the beach. Which it's just quite amazing.
Beach and Wi-Fi. I do like a bit of Wi-Fi when I'm away.
Yeah.
But I think that's this research is like I say, it's very, very interesting reading, because it is, I felt this, and Dad's been feeling this for many years, that through his TV and through other people's food TV, they've been trying to bang the drum for how important it is to enjoy food. Because I think when you're on holiday and you enjoy food with the local, any local kind of restaurant or supplier or whatever, I think it's a cultural exchange. And even if you don't necessarily speak the same language, I still think you get something out of it, which is very beneficial. And I think when you come back and you tell your friends about it, it's sort of like, it's better than just, back in the day showing a slideshow of, a gorge or something,
Exactly. Why not make that little bit of extra effort? And it sounds like you just get so much enjoyment out of it as well. It's definitely worth doing, I think. I was going to mention as well, because I think I'm going to own up. I'm a bit out of depth when it comes to discussing food, because I'm afraid I'm the worst chef on the planet. The only thing I can actually make successfully is blindingly hot chili sauce.
Oh, well, there you go. That's good. Have you got your own bottling plant or something where you a sort of a backyard industry, a garage industry of chili sauce from the East Midlands?
Well, it's in the works, I must say. But one thing.
Ben's ultra hot sauce.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to go down that well, really. But one thing I feel like I know a little bit more about is beers. I'm a big fan of beers, and actually the rise of kind of local craft beers it goes hand in hand with this kind of thing. I think there's this more interest in local produce, basically.
Yeah, the beer thing. Yeah, again in Western Australia, there's a huge beer craft beer resurgence. And I think in England it's been going for quite a long time, and Scotland and the British Isles. So yeah, it's incredible just to see these microbreweries, like the way that they can set up in, there's one near us in Padstow, and it's set up in this tiny unit and producing amazing beer. And it's just, it's people just being enthusiastic, and they've maybe come from a different background and they've maybe done a different thing, and they want to change their lives, and they go and learn and learn how to brew, and then suddenly they're coming up with like world-beating beers. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, the Stein family beers are very nice as well. I must say that's, even though the fish and chips are very good I used to go to the Falmouth one, I must say my favourite bit's the beer, actually.
the Chalkies by, yeah, I think it won.
That's it.
It won sort of six World Beer Awards in a row, and it was a record, and we were so proud of it. And then we realised the actual category it had won was like best flavoured IPA with an ABV over something. Do you know what I mean? So it was quite a niche market, but still, we're very proud of it. Yeah,
no, that still counts. It's a great beer. I urge my listeners to go check that out. Actually, even if they take one thing away, check out the beer and go to Western Australia, obviously.
And the TV series, which is on at 9 p.m. on UK TV. Good food.
Absolutely. Well, it starts tonight, doesn't it? And there's 4 episodes in total. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's back to back, so it's from Tuesday to Friday. Till the 1st of September, 9 p.m.
Fantastic. Can we let our listeners know where we can go check out some more information about that? They got a website and things, a link that they can check out?
The Western Australian Tourism Board is a great place to check out to find out more about the region and the area I was in, and then our website rickstein.com has lots of sort of links to the social channels, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff from the show, and obviously a bit more about kind of me, and if you really are that interested, and a lot more about our restaurants and things like that.
Fantastic. So 9 p.m. starting tonight on the Good Food channel, Born to Cook. That sounds good to me. Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time. Anything else you'd like to add, actually, before we kind of close up a little bit?
No, that's been brilliant, Ben. Thank you very much.
Jack, I've just thought of one last thing. Because you're coming on the show, which I'm very appreciative of that, I thought it's only fair that I give you a song choice. Have you got any songs you'd like us to pop on for you?
What after this?
Yeah, to follow up the interview. What do you reckon?
Don Henley, The Boys of Summer, because it's getting towards the end of summer. It's always a nice tune in September when everyone's gone home and the beaches are empty. And
Perfect.
I'd like that.
Perfect choice. Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time. Very nice chatting to you. Thank you.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks a lot.
So that was Jack Stein, ladies and gentlemen. Annoyingly awesome man, actually. Not only is he just the coolest guy ever, as you heard from that interview, really, really nice guy to chat to. He's also a surfer, he's world-leading chef, list goes on. Irritatingly awesome, I think. Now, of course, that interview was done earlier this week, so we've just been talking about his brand new TV show, Jack Stein Down Under, Born to Cook, which actually first went out on Tuesday. So this Tuesday just gone. It's been going back to back. So there's one tonight, one tomorrow night. So we're already 2 episodes in now. So hopefully you managed to catch that interview a bit earlier in the week here on the Source FM. But if you didn't, you can still catch the last 2 episodes of that. So that's tonight at 9 p.m. on UK TV's Good Food channel, and also of course tomorrow night is the final episode. So do definitely check them out, even if you're just joining him now halfway through the series. Definitely worth doing. Samath, you were picking up on something there. I think it's something about the chili sauce.
So Ben there claims he is the worst chef, which I can attest to. He is awful. But he then said he could make some exceedingly hot chili sauces quite well. And
it's
so
true.
we attempted this last night, and it was a disaster.
I'm really trying to forget.
It was an absolute disaster. But we'll play that next week because we did record it. Because we were intending to record it with like a really smooth, slick, making a hot sauce, and then talking through, cut it down to 4 minutes and then pop it at the start of this episode. No, it was a disaster.
I was trying to forget that, man. Thanks for bringing that back up. I had nightmares about it last night. I think it's the worst cooking session ever, I think. So I just thought there's no way, there's not a chance in hell that we can play that alongside the greats such as Jack Stein, is there? There's not a chance in hell that we could have played that section
later.
No, we'll have to wait till next week when we have no chefs in sight. I have to make sure there's not a single piece of food mentioned. Anyway, okay, so
do you want to know another quick fact, Ben, about Western Australia?
I most certainly do.
So if Western Australia was a country, it would be in the top 10 largest countries in the world.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
For a state.
I mean, as I was saying in that interview, I've never been to the place, but it looks absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you what as well. I'll just tell you what is going to be really cool at the end of this show as well. We have got one of our very own professors, world-leading academic, world-leading scientist, who actually started his academic career in the same region, so in Western Australia. And this is the great Dave Hoskin. We'll be chatting to him later. So this is awesome. So we'll be talking about the Jack's new series with him as well, and mentioning some of the places that Jack will be visiting, and seeing if whether Dave knows about them. So do stay tuned for that. So if you like that section with Jack, stay tuned, because yes, we're talking to Dave Hoskin about the same area that Jack Stein's recently just filmed his brand new TV show in, Born to Cook, in the same area. How cool is that? We've got one of our own greats.
It's almost like we designed this.
It almost is. Really, really close to it. Anyway, as promised then, we're going to have to play Jack Stein's music request. So here it is. This is definitely it. This is definitely The Boys of Summer. No, it's Don Henley, honestly. Just listen. Hang on. I can hear him in there somewhere. Where is he? Don, you in there? Don! No, can you hear him?
No.
I can't hear any sultry guitars.
This is Darude.
Where is he? Where's Don gone? This is terrible. We're trying to play an interview. Oh, this simply won't do. Jack, I'm so sorry. Here is your actual request for you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Lovely chatting to you. Simply awesome. And as I said before, people, please do check out his TV show, even if you're just joining him halfway through. Okay, time for Jack Stein's music request. Now, this proves that Jack, not only is he, dangerously handsome as well, but also music taste spot on.
Fast forward.
I bet he played that loads whilst he was cruising around Western Australia. What do you think? I bet he did. Right, okay then. So let's move on, because I've got some more legends on the show for you now. Okay. Now, I'm really, really pleased to have these guys on the show, because in that interview with Jack Stein just now, we were actually talking about local beers. We got onto my favourite topic, local beers. Managed to get it in there. My very favourite topic.
Squeeze in some sort of alcoholic beverage.
No, but Jack Stein was the perfect person to talk to about that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and then the Stein beers are brilliant anyway. Chalkies. They're awesome. Chalkies bite. Anyway, let's talk about beers just for a second, because as Jack was saying there's a small little brewery in Padstow itself which produces brilliant beers, and I can only call them brilliant because they really are brilliant. We had one last night, Sam. He was a fan of it. Really, really good beers. These guys are legends. I'm of course talking about the Padstow Brewing Company in Padstow, and I thought, perfect time to go and chat to these guys. Really, really great bunch. You can actually pop into their into their brewery. Sorry, they probably have a studio as well, I imagine, where they just mix up the beats that they play in, around Padstow. Maybe, I don't know, little beer cart. Although I'm saying this sounds silly, but no. Let's keep this sensible. They do actually have a tasting shop now, but enough of this. I'm going to let them explain all of this, because these guys are legends. They craft my. I'm going to say it. They craft my favourite beers. They're really, really, really nice beers. I really encourage you to get yourself down to Padstow to try it, or if you can't do that, they're going to be telling us actually where you can try it around Falmouth, around the Falmouth area. You might have caught them before at the Falmouth Beer Festival as well, and various festivals that go on in the Discovery Key. Might have caught them already. Anyway, here they are. So I popped in to see them yesterday. Really, really friendly bunch. Really lovely. As ever, their brewery was looking awesome. Ridiculously clean, as always. Really, just go and check it out. You can actually, as they're going to be talking about very shortly, you can actually now arrange to go and look around their brewery. And actually, they even do brewing days where you can join in and brew. You can do some brewing. It's awesome.
Do you get any of what you've brewed though? Or do you have
Here's the best bit about this. Apparently, you get pretty much as much beer as you can drink whilst you're doing the tour.
Fair play.
How amazing! Not if you're driving, obviously. Don't go there when you're driving. That'd just be silly, wouldn't it?
Get a designated driver.
Get a designated driver sorted. Get a taxi sorted. Even if it's going to set you back.
Book a hotel, Ben.
Book a hotel. Go to Padstow. Anyway, this is awesome. It is very, very. Well, it brings me great pleasure to introduce and welcome to the show the Padstow Brewing Company. Right. We'll welcome the particular chaps just now. I'll let them introduce themselves. I'm just too excited. I need to stop talking. I'm very excited about this interview, so I can't stop talking. But yeah, I'm just going to stop talking right now, and I'm going to put this on. This is part one. We've got two parts. Don't go anywhere. This is part one. Enjoy. Well, hello there. I'm very lucky today, actually, ladies and gents, to be standing in the Padstow Brewing Company's brewery. Chaps, if perhaps I'd let you just very briefly introduce yourselves first to our listeners.
Yeah, sure. My name's Des. I'm one of the owners of the brewery, and we've been coming up for 5 years now, so working hard getting our beers out to Cornwall and beyond.
Fantastic, thanks, Des.
I'm George, I'm the brewer, and I've been here about 3 months, and I'm just kind of learning the craft.
Awesome, welcome, George. Well, I guess, chaps, what I'd really like to chat about then is, could we talk a little bit about, what's going on around us at the moment? So you're in the process of brewing today, actually, aren't you?
Yeah, we're brewing Pilsner at the moment, which is one of our popular keg beers. Process for Pilsner is much the same as our other brews. Fermentation is where it changes. We ferment quite cool and use a different yeast, but today we started here at 7. It'll probably be done by about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then the beer will be in the tank for probably 2.5 weeks.
You've actually just recently as well, which I am a big fan of, actually, I must say, you've just come out with a beer recently called Pocket Rocket, haven't you?
That's right.
And that's absolutely amazing. I just tried that the other day, actually, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Gentleman I met when I was trying this, actually, was saying that it's quite a unique process of doing that, as opposed to all the other beers which are possible.
Yeah, it's different in a couple of ways. It's dry hopped. That's not a brand new technique. A lot of breweries are using it successfully. It means that once we've made the beer, once we've brewed it, once it's fermented, we hop it again, and that gives it that amazing aroma and real juicy taste. And then we had that on can, so we had a canning company come in here. We're too small to have our own canning line. They came in and canned it all for us from our tanks, produced about 5,000 cans in a day, and they're now on sale locally.
It's lovely beer. I've come across your beers, and people listening to this in Falmouth might have come across your beers if they haven't been to the brewery or Padstow necessarily. They might have come across them at the various festivals in Falmouth. Actually, I've seen you guys there as well, down at the Discovery.
We're down there sometimes. That's an annual fair. We supply the bottle bank down near Maritime Square. We have our beers in Beer Wolf occasionally, The Front occasionally, Seven Stars, a couple of other pubs down there. So if you don't see it on the bar, feel free to ask for it. That's always good.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, so the majority, I think, of people listening to this will be in the Falmouth and Penryn area. So good for them to know how they can actually, find the beers and try them themselves if they're not necessarily coming to Padstow.
Sure.
But in Padstow, actually, you just opened up the tasting shop as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, that's going amazingly well.
Yeah.
Always on tap down there. We've got a couple of kegs and a couple of casks. So you can have a little flight of 3/3. That's very popular. But all the bottle range is down there. The cans are down there. We've got an upstairs area, a little tasting area, and we're just starting to develop that. We ran a really good beer and food matching day up there, and George ran that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that, George?
Yeah. So we got the beers on cask, the beers on keg, and we basically matched them with cheeses and meats, and then we did, for some of the darker beers, we did sweet chocolates and stuff like that. We have our own chocolate, so just kind of seeing what people think works, but everyone's got a different palate when it comes to tasting beers, so what one person might think works really well, another person might think, not at all.
Seems to be that people are starting to become more interested now in actually pairing, treating beer as they traditionally would have treated wines, and saying, why is it any different? You can have a nice beer, you can pair that with food, and it's all about this enjoyment of local produce as well. I mean, this is what we're talking about with Jack Stein actually in the interview just before this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are starting now to really appreciate local food.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a huge interest in artisan producers, whether they're bakers or salad growers or breweries or gin producers. I think we all know the big corporations exist to make money and nothing else. We know that they're run by accountants often rather than craft people, and so people are turning to the smaller producers to get that freshness, that localness, and that, in some cases, that complete variety of flavours and change.
And another key thing as well, because coming from a science background myself, actually, if we're talking about the kind of benefits, scientifically speaking, there are actually a lot, because of course keeping everything local actually, well, not only economically, obviously invests money back in the community where it belongs, instead of sending it off, as you say, to these enormous corporations, but also actually it's better for the environment anyway, because there's less transport, there's less moving things around, so it's better all round.
Yes, exactly. I mean, all our grain, when we finish brewing today, I'll go off to the farmer, the local farmer, and the grain is grown down the road anyway, so it is keeping it small, I think, does help.
All local.
We could buy cheaper. We were offered cheaper grain from Scotland. We said no, not interested. We'll have the local stuff. We know where it's been grown. We know where it's been malted. We're happy with that.
Fantastic. Now, it's what strikes me in here, James, is it's reasonably small but immaculately clean. All these tanks. So this must take a lot of work to keep it this way. A lot of work.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we. Every day we have to clean down after a brew, which is just really a water clean on what's called the mash tun, and then where we boil all the wort, we have to do a full chemical, a caustic clean. But at the end of the week, we do a brewery tour on a Friday, so we normally have to do a big caustic clean on everything, scrub all the sides down, mop all the floors, get rid of any mould, just make sure it is spotless for the people coming on a tour. So, we take cleanliness very seriously.
So these brewery tours sound great, actually. I mean, how do people book for those, or do they turn up, or how do they get involved in these?
We've got online booking now, so all the dates are on our website. Customers can book online, and we're finding that it helps us organise ourselves. We know when tours are coming, we know who's due to turn up.
Yes.
The system produces a little ticket customers can use on their phone, so there's no need to print paper or anything. And it's a really useful idea. People enjoy it. They always review us on TripAdvisor, and that's very, very positive. We also do occasionally brew days here. We had one yesterday, where members of the public can come in and spend a day brewing with us. Whether their interest is in how the beer is made, or whether their interest is they're a home brewer and they want to understand the commercial side. Both are good. They come in, they spend a day with us. We give them pasties and pretty much as much beer as they can drink, and they go away happy and better informed, and we have a good time.
I would certainly go away happy, I think. Pasties, beers, and also learning about the beers as well. Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds good. So you've got a website and things that people can visit, can't you?
Yep.
And a Facebook page as well.
Website, padstowbrewing.co.uk. You can find us on that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They're ways we try and keep people informed of what's going on. It's always competing work against brewing the beer, talking about the beer, selling the beer, delivering the beer. Only a small team, but
Fantastic.
try and keep those up to date. Yeah.
So George, what's your schedule looking like then today? Is this a question I shouldn't be asking you?
No, it's all right. Well, I'm sparging at the moment, so it's kind of like a third of the way through the brew, coming up to boil in a bit. In brewing Pilsner, it's quite a nice brew because we don't add what's called WDB, which Burtonises our water, so that's one thing less to worry about. There's less hops in the boil, so it's quite a nice brew, to be honest. And then clean down should be fairly easy as well because it's a nice clean dig out at the end of the day. And then set up for tomorrow's brew, which is pale ale, which is a nice light session beer. So with it being a light session beer, lower ABV means less grain, which means smaller dig out, which means an easier afternoon for me as well.
George is smiling at this, you can tell.
Yeah, he's looking quite pleased.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've tried the Pilsner, so I think that's one of my favourites actually. So I actually originally got interested in Padstow beers because I kind of, well, I'm going to have to admit this to you guys. I'm afraid I was more of a lager man to start with.
That's
but
okay.
I tried the Pilsner.
That's okay.
Lovely, absolutely lovely. And then that actually made me try the others, like Mayday and things. And actually, I really like those as well.
Yeah, so I think you're obviously the same as a lot of people discovering. Modern beers have got a lot of flavour. It doesn't have to be a brown beer that you can stand a spoon up in. It's got really exciting flavours. You talked about Pocket Rocket. That is so tropical that people are converting from Pilsner or lager to that because it's also cold. It's also carbonated like a lager, but it's just really refreshing.
Yeah, it's got that really nice kind of poppy kick when you first try it.
Absolutely
love that.
And you've been mixing that with curry with chili sauce.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It went extremely well, I think. Actually.
Did it?
Yeah, the hoppy kick with the chili kick.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Have you bought some for us to try?
I forgot to. You know what? I'm gonna have to drop some around for you. Maybe when you're not a busy brewing day.
Sounds great.
I'll drop some around for you.
Sounds great.
I can't promise you that you're going to like the chili taste.
We'll put it in the tasting room.
That'll send your customers away in a hurry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you very much for chatting to me today, chaps. You were saying a bit later on you've got to start using the burner, is that right?
Yeah, we've got a massive gas burner, and we get about 3,000 pints in what's called the copper, and then we'll boil it for 65 minutes, around about 101 degrees. So that gets very loud and very steamy, and so won't want to be recording when that's on, I don't think.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I think if you're in Falmouth, the Falmouth Beer Festival, that's coming up in October. That's a really good festival. Hundreds of different beers. We're going to have 4 beers in. We're going to put Pocket Rocket in a cask for that one, which will be an experiment.
Okay, nice.
That'll be interesting. And we'll also have our Sundowner, which is a popular IPA, American 6.5%. Our smoked oatmeal stout will be down there. And our traditional strong beer called Maypole, which is a 4.8% bitter.
I don't think I've tried that one, actually.
You won't have tried it. It's currently exclusive to the tasting room in town, so you won't have tried that.
Okay,
so that's going to be out, allowed out for the day down at Falmouth.
It's coming on a trip.
Falmouth Beer Festival. So there, one to look out for, and many other good Cornish breweries too.
Fantastic. Can you remember the date of the Falmouth Festival?
20.
We'll check on the Facebook.
I think it's 21st, 22nd, something like that.
Right, okay, awesome. That's
Yeah.
it. Check up for them.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, chaps. Cool.
Thank
Lovely,
you.
Lovely to meet you both.
Great
Cheers.
stuff. Cheers now.
So a big thank you to Des and George from the Padstow Brewing Company, and indeed everybody who helps make those beers, because as I've been saying, they're just awesome, those beers. We were speaking about that chili sauce, and as we said earlier, Sam, we can't possibly... There's no way that I can give them this current batch.
This batch can't go wrong.
It didn't go too well, did it?
No.
Not too well.
I think I managed to salvage something that's edible, potentially.
Yeah, it was...
But it could be dangerous to eat.
We'll leave it at that, and then we'll play our attempt to cook this sauce next time. I think that'll be good. It does go wrong somehow. So with 2 of our very good friends as well, Govinda and Jared, they're joining us in the kitchen.
The worst thing was we weren't even trying to be silly.
No.
We were trying to do our best.
No, it wasn't supposed to be a comedy section, but now, we can lighten up next week's show with it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Padstow Brewing Company, fantastic. Do get yourself down there if you can, and if you're interested in that kind of thing. Otherwise, look out for their beers coming up at the next Falmouth Beer Festival, because I'll be down there as well. Now, there is actually a part 2 to this interview, because they were talking about this big gas burner that they have. Now, this is an extremely sciencey noise, so I'm very pleased with this.
It's back.
Yes, we have a new sciencey noise now. Okay, they even let me press the go button. It was shining. It was lighting up. Sorry, what am I talking about?
Up.
It was lit up green. It looked really cool. Yeah, and I pressed it, and it made this really, really awesome noise. So we'll be playing that noise very shortly, and George the brewer will be explaining actually what's going on. But just in between, I thought I'd play this song for you. I want to dedicate this one to Padstow Brewing Company. This is I think you're going to really like this. Sam, I'm not sure if you might have heard this one before. So you know how a couple of shows ago I played you a so-called acoustic ballad and you were having none of it. You were saying that's not acoustic, that's not a ballad, blah, 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 nonsense. Anyway, this one, you're going to have to admit that this really is acoustic and you're going to love it, okay? This is a... Well, I mean, not that we're trying to advocate silly levels of drinking, of course not. But this is a song which would accompany a nice and careful enjoyment of just one or two Padstow Brewing Company beers. Okay, this is dedicated to you guys. Another acoustic ballad. Yes, although this is more of a folk hit. Okay, this is a folk smash hit. Features such things as mandolins. I actually bought a mandolin just for this song. Okay. Couple of years old now, but I thought I'd resurrect this and turn this into the Padstow Brewing Company's theme tune. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, this is all about enjoying a cheeky beer, very sensible, of course, and preferably not before 9 a.m. If you can possibly help it, because in fact, it's not even 8:30 a.m. at the moment, so probably a bit of a silly time to be chatting about this. Anyway, I'm going to play this for you. Enjoy.
Question, 'cause I'm drinking one of those for sure, and I'm hoping I will see you there, girl. Why don't you grab yourself a course? Hey fella, grab yourself a drink. Let the good times roll until the morning. Sitting down by this old river, I can see the rain just pouring down, but I don't know if I'm gonna see her. She makes me smile when she's around. Hey fella, grab yourself a drink. Let the good times roll until the morning.
Drink has to be from Padstow Brewing Company.
Hey fella, you got time to waste, so let's spend time together now. You got time to waste, so let's spend time together now.
How did that come on? That's weird. Oh no, Sam, we promised we weren't we promised, man. What's going on here? Oh no. Oh no, what's going on? Major studio malfunction. Oh, not again. God, stop it, Sam. Sam, I can't stop it. Every animal noise. Whew. Oh, well, that's just managed to regain control over the deck. This is a really weird desk. We really need to...
One, Ben, we're trying to be smooth and slick today. And two, did you put those animal song noises on so that I couldn't criticise anything in that last song that came up?
Please, criticise away, Sam. Go on. I'm going to let you give some criticism. Go on.
Why were you sitting by a river in the rain?
Well, because, when you're kind of this deep as an artist, sometimes you just find yourself doing things, man, because you're just deep in your world of art, deep within your own neurons.
That's the perfect way to catch a cold, Ben. Get inside, get warm.
Right, maybe that's why I got a bit of a cough this morning. I think it might be. And anyway, that was for Padstow Brewing Company. As I said, now it's time to activate the burner. Now that's a cool phrase. I'm going to have to include this section, actually, probably next week as well, just so I can say activate the burner again.
We'll just cut it into our cooking section.
Absolutely.
We sound like we're doing something clever.
This is a majorly sciencey noise. Now, if you're thinking, but I really want some more hardcore science. As I said before in the show, don't worry, okay? Because very soon, so shortly after this section, I will be playing you that promised interview with our very own Professor Dave Hoskin. Particularly good this week because, as I was saying before, he actually started out his academic career in the same region, Western Australia, as Jack Stein was in filming his brand new series. So that's pretty cool. So do check that out. Anyway, I think it's time. It's actually past time now to activate the burner at the Padstow Brewing Company. All right, now I'll let George here explain it. George the brewer as well. Explain exactly what's going on here. Enjoy. It's a cool noise. So, chaps, so what's about to happen now? We're about to activate the burner. I mean, that sounds quite cool.
Yeah, about to turn the gas burner on and start getting up to around 99 degrees. And then we'll wait until we reach our desired sugar level in the water, and then we'll start boiling about 101 degrees. So it can get quite loud and very hot as well.
Okay, Ben, because you're here, we'd love you to have the honour of pushing the button and firing the burner, please.
Oh, extremely good. So it's just this one here, right? Burner start.
Burner start.
All right, I'm pressing the button. Okay, button pressed successfully. The whirring of it starting up. Just imagine the beers being brewed. Just imagine them.
That is a good science noise.
That is a very good science noise. So that's a big thanks to Des and George for all of that from the Padstow Brewing Company, chatting to us about their beers and things. Really cool, really cool little brewery. Definitely check them out if you haven't come across them before. Right, okay, as promised then, let's move on to this interview with Professor Dave Hoskin. Dave, brilliant chap. You might have heard him, I do hope you've heard him before on the show. He comes on quite often debating with Professor Sasha Dahl about various different topics, various different sciencey topics. But this time it's just Dave actually chatting to us a little bit. Well, I'm gonna have to admit, I actually just sent him an email saying, Dave, I'm coming to your office. I'm coming to interview you. I'm going to come and grill you for a bit. And of course, being the kind man that he is, he accepted. I popped in there, chatted to him, and I was particularly keen to get this on this week because, of course, we had Jack Stein on earlier in this show talking all about his brand new TV show, Born to Cook, which actually was filmed in Western Australia. And I thought this was perfect because, of course, Professor Dave Hoskin actually started out his academic career in this area. Okay, so it's perfect. So let's get him on now. This is a warm welcome back to Dave Hoskin, who once again shall be gracing the airwaves. Listen close. Hope you enjoy this. Well, Dave, very warm welcome to you. Obviously been on the show many times before, but this time solo. No Sasha to ruin things.
I know, that's quite refreshing if we're perfectly frank, Ben, but no, we miss him dearly.
Anyway, yeah, so let's chat a bit about, well, you today, actually. So this is all about Dave.
My favourite subject.
All about the great Dave Hoskin, because so on this show, we're just actually going to be talking about Jack Stein's brand new TV show, and he actually filmed this in Western Australia. Now this got me thinking because, of course, I do know a legend who was born, so to speak. His academic career began in kind of the same area, didn't it? So I thought, why not get the man himself onto the show? So you started out in the area. I don't know whether you were born in the area as well.
Yeah. So by looking at the first program of the food show, that's all in the sort of southwest of Western Australia, and I was further north than that, in the sort of the wheat belt, sort of the middle part of the arable land, about 3.5 hours northeast of Perth. So, little wheat and sheep town there.
Fantastic. I mean, I've never been myself, but I've been looking at pictures, obviously, after this interview, and it looks like a remarkable area, full of a lot of. Well, obviously, everyone knows about some of the very charismatic animals that you can see around the area. One of the homes of marsupials, of course, and things. But I don't know whether, to you, I mean, the wildlife that was around. I don't know if that played any part at all in inspiring you to take up science. Can you think about that?
I don't know. I think. Well, I certainly tended to take things a little bit for granted, and it wasn't until I had actually colleagues from the UK come to Australia and go, oh my God, look at that bird. You go, oh yeah, it's a parrot.
It's a bit like seagulls here.
Yeah, exactly. Herring gulls, I think you mean.
Yes, of course.
No, it was actually Attenborough. I guess that really got me interested. He had, when I was a little kid, Life on Earth just came out. People across the road had a colour telly, and I was allowed to go over on Sunday nights and watch David Attenborough on their colour telly, and that was it. And I think, that's why for so many of us academics of a certain age, Attenborough really is an important character, because he sort of lit the fuse that led us to where we are now. I had the privilege to meet him and actually tell him that particular anecdote, which was lovely.
Oh, lovely. I bet he was a fan of hearing that.
Well, I don't know if he was or not. He's probably heard it 1,000 times, but I felt like I wanted to say to him, for whatever it's worth, you're responsible for, or at least partly responsible for where I am now.
Yeah, well, I mean, that must have meant quite a lot to him, seeing as you're a world leader, Professor. So it's,
I think you're over-egging it.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, yeah.
I would urge listeners to go and check out his profile on the Exeter site, and they'll see. They'll believe me then, I think. But I mean, but you've always been. I don't know. Have you always been a kind of? Because I think looking at the kind of research which has always interested you, a lot of it's to do with sexual selection, isn't it?
Yep.
Really? I don't know if that's primarily been, I guess, in the world of insects, presumably because it's easier to actually do lab work in this area. Because I guess you're kind of more of a lab work man. I'm not sure if I'm getting that right. But
yeah, no, I am now. But I did my PhD on bats actually.
Right. Okay.
Solitary living Australian forest bats, which meant I spent inordinate number of nights by myself, laying in the bush.
You have to be basically nocturnal to do that.
Well, you've got to be pretty pleased to spend a lot of time by yourself, because all your friends soon get bored of, trying to catch the one bat that lives in the 10 acres.
Novelty wears off, I guess.
Exactly, very quickly. But in my honours year, so we do a 4 years undergraduate degree in Australia, and the last year is where you do a sort of series of honours projects. I worked with a guy who's super, an absolute world leader in sexual selection and sort of insect evolutionary ecology. Lee Simmons is his name, and he's at Western Australia now. He's an English guy who moved to Western Australia. I was an Australian guy that's moved to the UK, and we did a project with him looking at sort of elements of mating behaviour in a bush cricket. And then for the second part of my honours project, and that really fascinated me. There's the second part, I did bats and bush crickets and how bats use bush cricket acoustic signals, so the noises that bush crickets make to eat the bush crickets, locate and eat them. And then I did my PhD on bats, and I sort of combined the stuff I'd learned with Lee with the stuff I'd learned from bats, and did my PhD basically on sperm competition and reproductive biology of some Australian bats. Mm-hmm. Really good fun, wonderful, beautiful animals, but super duper hard to work with.
Yeah, yes.
So, if you're keeping bats, you're in the lab every day of the year, because they have to be fed every single day of the year.
Yes, yeah.
And, you can't keep many of them. So that means sample sizes are relatively small. So I published a paper in Journal of Zoology with basically Mike and Jeff the bat.
Yeah.
So that's pretty hard because, of course, as your listeners will be well aware, being able to draw broad conclusions is very difficult if you've only got one subject.
Yes, of course.
Or in that case two. So it was after that I started then to work on, and it's actually funny how things work out, because Lee Simmons did a postdoc, so the guy that taught me did a postdoc with the most famous living evolutionary biologist or evolutionary ecologist, I think, behavioural ecologist, Jeff Parker. And Jeff Parker had worked on dung flies and had done some of the most outstanding work you could imagine. I mean, his PhD thesis puts most people's career output to shame. And the insights he drew from that were absolutely stunning. And so I went from the University of Western Australia working on bats, sperm competition in bats, to the University of Zurich working on yellow dung flies with a PhD student of Jeff Parker's. So there's some sort of weird symmetry to the whole thing. And realised that actually working with insects is way, way easier. And then when I moved to the UK, I did a postdoc in Chicago where I worked a little bit with Drosophila. Then moving to the UK, I realised that dung flies are pretty cool, but you've got to rear dung flies and Drosophila because the dung flies eat the Drosophila.
Right, yeah.
So let's just make it even easier and just cut to the chase. So let's just work on Drosophila.
Yeah.
And I chose Drosophila simulans as my main model species to work on, because lots and lots of people are doing lots and lots of work on the sister species, Drosophila melanogaster. And I thought it would be interesting to contrast findings in simulans with its close relative. They're only about 3 million years apart in evolutionary, divergence time, to sort of compare and contrast. I know you should never do a two-species study, but just to see how similar simulans was to melanogaster. And so that's pretty much what I've been working on for the last 15 years, with a few other bits and bobs thrown in. So I still do work on bats. I still have PhD students that work on bats. And some beetle work and some melanogaster work as well, and but primarily Drosophila simulans. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, interested to hear that you started out in bats and still obviously have a connection with bats as well. We did a show previously about the kind of bad press that bats get generally. And I think it's quite interesting to actually show people and actually get across to people that they're not bad in the slightest. They're extremely important for ecology, aren't they? I mean, they're talking.
And they're also they're seriously beautiful little animals. So, I had some bats that I kept for almost 2 years in captivity.
Yes.
And they're real characters and super charismatic. They're really clever little devils. And each has their own personality, and they're really nice. And it's one of the things that I think I learned quite well is there seems to be an inverse relationship between how bitey they are and how big they are. So the slightly bigger ones tend to be a little less bitey and a little bit more fun.
That explains Sasha, actually, doesn't it?
everything. But they're great fun, really nice animals. And if you saw them up close in a situation where they're not scared and where they've calmed down a little bit and they know what's going on, they're stunning animals, really super clever and just beautiful, very beautiful thing. But, my experience, and I guess I've been doing this for a little while now, is that any animal that you get to know, you get to love in a bizarre kind of a way. Some of the big bush crickets that I've worked on, they're just great. They're fantastic things. The beetles that we work on, they're really cool. And even the silly little Drosophila, if you sit down and watch what they do, they're super duper interesting. And the behaviours that they can perform with a brain the size of a pinhead.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If we could design computer chips of that level of sophistication. We just can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here they are doing all these amazing things with this very small number of neurons, and away they go.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean,
Yeah.
if you think of things, water bears, for instance, absolutely minuscule
Yeah.
things, but if you observe them under a microscope for any length of time,
Fantastic.
yeah, you just think, how is it possibly
Yeah.
performing anything, let alone anything remotely complex, such
Yeah.
as grazing and things.
And that's behaviours, right? Now, if you think about bacteria, which are smaller again, they're little chemical factories that deal with all of the trials and tribulations that that we sort of undergo, and they're fine. They're doing it. Super complicated, single-celled beauty, and I think it's anyone that works on anything a lot really learns to appreciate the sort of less charismatic stuff.
Yes.
It might be like an architect who gets really excited about window frames or shutter design.
Portals.
Yeah, right? Or something weird, But I totally get it. And I think that sort of level of almost madness, where you really get involved and really feel strongly about the thing that you do, if you can get a job that involves that level of sort of engagement, you've won the game.
Absolutely, that's it. I think that's a really nice message there, actually. Coming back to the, just observing wildlife and actually allowing yourself to kind of become fascinated by it. I can remember in Kenya on a field course I was doing actually here for a master's degree before the PhD I'm doing now. I remember just spotting this trail of ants. I was watching them for a while, thinking, this is remarkable. And I started to think about, how exactly they're doing this. They're following chemical cues, or what exactly they're doing, and the navigation of ants. Then you think about, desert ants being able to navigate back to their nests over a completely barren landscape, and they're titchy, and they can go. You can go to the nest, find food. They've left the nest, find some food, and then they can walk basically in a completely straight line back to the back to the nest, because they have inbuilt compasses essentially. That's crazy.
Well, I think they use polarised light too. All of those desert ants. Rudy Gavena, a guy in Zurich, was on an early Attenborough show actually, where they held light depolarized, or the reverse light polarization, and tricked the ants into going the wrong way.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's very clever. But I'm just back from my my summer break, and I spent an hour sitting on the side of a lake with my feet in the water, just watching little fish nibbling my feet.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds a bit weird. A lot of people pay good money for that, however. And it was just brilliant. It's the most cathartic thing. Your brain turns off, and you just watch these little things. And then after a while, your brain turns back on. You go, why are they doing that? What was that all about? What? And it's super great, really good fun. Really
I think if people can harness that little spark, you've kind of been saying that, thinking, what is making that happen? Why is it doing that? I think if people, if any kind of maybe students out there are listening to this, I think that's probably what drives most scientists. Would you think?
Asking the dumb questions, and not being afraid to ask questions, and have it almost like that sort of childlike innocence of why, question, and it leads you into all sorts of fascinating places. And trying to understand the world is what makes us different from a rock. And I admire anyone that spends any time trying to understand what it's all about. Because in some sense, that's what we've been trying to do since we crawled out of the primordial mud. It's just now we've got a really sophisticated tool called science that, actually it's not that sophisticated, it's just a set of rules in a sense, isn't it? But it really works, and it really allows us to answer questions about why in a really powerful way.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll begin to start closing this up. I think absolutely perfect.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Cheers,
Anything
mate.
else you want to add?
Stay curious.
Stay curious. I think that's a very good line to finish on, actually. So if there are any students out there, or people who are potentially thinking about returning back to education in some form, stay curious. That's what Prof. Dave Hoskin would say to you, I believe. Now, I did actually, I'm hoping Dave didn't see it as bullying, but I kind of insisted that, because I'd heard rumours, okay, that Dave himself is actually a musician, okay? So I sort of bullied him into revealing what band he had been in so that I could get some songs on the show today. He did, after some convincing, tell me the band that he was in. Now, this band to me sounds absolutely awesome because he's in the band, he's with another Dave, a different Dave Hodgson, who is also a professor here on campus. We've actually had Professor Dave Hodgson. We've actually had some of his music, some of his solo music on the show previously, but this time it's the two Daves. So this is Hoskin and Hodgson, and the band. Actually, I found the band. He did tell me the band eventually after some convincing. It's called Band Dave. Now that's pretty cool, isn't it? The band is just called Dave. How fantastic is that? So if you can check it out on SoundCloud, it's SoundCloud/Band Dave. So just check it out, or search for Band Dave, you'll find it. Anyway, I'm going to try and fit both of these on. I've got two songs. Play the first one, see how we're doing, and maybe play the second one if we've got time as well. If we don't, obviously, it's going to have to be spun on the next show. But let's hope we can get through both of these right now. This is my favourite one, actually. He sent me a couple of songs. One of them is called Deathly Hollow Tree. Now, this sounds pretty cool.
Pretty spooky.
Very spooky as well, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I was about to play the spooky music because, that title would probably be quite fitting for something like this, wouldn't it? But no, this is a really awesome song. They had a producer with him in the band as well, I believe he was saying. So, this is all professionally produced, professional stuff, and they've played live as well. And it's actually, so I was saying about Dave Hodgson with Dave Hoskin here as well. Hodgson's actually on the drums in this one.
Okay.
In this band, so that's pretty damn cool. And Dave Hoskin, who we've just heard from in that interview, is on the vocals. So this is great stuff. I'm going to give this a spin now. So this is the first song I'm going to be playing to you called Deathly Hollow Tree. Enjoy. Check this out. I think you're going to like this.
Like a goddess by a hollow tree, bathing by a river, trying not to notice me. Well, who's fooling who? Why no one, it seems, betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. And now that it's over, now that we're older, a deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me, betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Dawn comes early, cold and damp with you, smiling, laughing, coffee, and awe-inspiring beauty too. Well, who's fooling who? Why no one, it seems, betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. And now that it's over, now that we're older, deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me, betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Aching back returns once more, burning rays I can't ignore. Second time around once more. Second time around, love that had been found. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Now that it's over, now that we're older, and deathly hollow tree, and dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Now that we're older, now that it's over, deathly hollow tree, dust and flies on me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me. Betrayed by a furtive glance, see sun and heartache for me.
Absolutely awesome song there. The band is just called Dave. Sam, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say Dave's my supervisor, and that was surprisingly all right.
Yeah. Even Sam was impressed.
I don't want to give
with
props to him, but it was all right.
That was great. Of course, it was Hoskin there on the vocals, Dave Hodgson on the drums there. That's a fantastic track. Got one more track to finish up with, so we will say our goodbyes now, and we're going to leave you with this other song by Dave called Nothing in Between. Sam, any closing words, any closing remarks?
Yeah, thanks for listening again, everyone.
Absolutely. Of course, a big thank you to all our very, very special guests today. So this goes out to our awesome celebrity lineups. We had Nicholas Rodda, the MD of Rodda's. We had Will Torrent, famous Pâtisserie chef. We had Jack Stein, an awesome chap. We even had the Padstow Brewing Company, Des and George. Big thank you to you guys. And of course, we've just ended there with Dave Hoskin, Professor Dave Hoskin from the University of Exeter's Cornwall campus here. And we're going to finish up with another one of his tunes. Find them on SoundCloud, called Dave. Just type in band Dave. Okay, let's finish up. Thank you very much for listening. Here is Nothing in Between by Dave.
I was laying out in the garden, there was nothing in between me and the air. I couldn't care, you could have joined me, I'm willing to share. I was swimming down by the river, there was nothing in between me and the water, the acid torture. You could have stolen all of my clothes. I saw you as God intended, naked as the day you were born, kicking and screaming into the world. I remember I wanted to tame you, naked as the day you were born. Dreaming of falling, there was nothing in between me and the sky. I was learning to fly, in my dreams you were waiting to catch me.